Theoretical perspective on work. Introduction. Theoretical perspectives of sociology provides frameworks for understanding the social structural forces that are transforming work. In this study session, therefore, we will discuss the theoretical perspective, which includes the conflict theory, functionalist theory, and the symbolic interaction theory. Learning outcomes. When you have studied this session, you should be able to 1. Explain at least 2 theoretical perspectives on work. Conflict theory. Conflict theorists view the transformation taking place in the workplace as a result of inherent tensions in the social systems. Tensions that arise from the power differences between groups vying for social and economic resources. Class conflict is then a major element of the social structure of work, and conflict theorists see class inequality as the source of unequal rewards that workers receive for work. In addition, conflict theorists emphasize the fact that some forms of work are more highly valued than others, both because of how the work is perceived by society and how it is rewarded. For instance, mental labor has been more highly valued than manual labor. Also, work performed outside the home is typically judged to be more valuable than work performed inside the home. Given the stratification based on class, race, gender, and age in the society, generally speaking, the work most highly valued has been that done by white, middle class, and old men. Sociologists, however, debate whether this stratification, because the most highly valued jobs are reserved for this group, white, middle class, old men, or whether because this group performs these jobs, the jobs are therefore more highly valued. It is a question of which comes first. But the point from the perspective of the conflict theory is that the prestige attitude to different jobs follow along lines of race, class, gender, and age, among other factors. Functionalist theory. Functionalist theorists interpret the work and the economy as a functional necessity for society. Certain tasks must be done to sustain society, and the organization at work reflects the values and characteristics of a given social order. Functionalists argue that when society changes too rapidly, as is the case with new technological and global development, work institutions undergo social disorganization, perhaps alienation, unemployment, or economic anxiety, as social institutions try to readjust and develop new forms that will again bring about social stability. The functionalist theory also calls attention to the cultural values that are widely shared about work. People place a high value on the work ethic, believing that hard work is a moral obligation. As Max Weber noted, The work ethic stems from the Protestant belief that hard work is a sign of moral stature and prosperity is a sign of God's favor. Those perceived as lazy, therefore lacking strong work ethic, are adjudged as moral failures and are blamed for their own lack of success. The cultural value is the crux of stereotypes about the underserving poor. The belief that the poor have become so because of their failures and refusal to internationalize the values of diligence and hard work. At the same time, people who are most admired for success tend to be thought of as hard workers, even if their success comes largely through inheritance. But once a principle with the primacy of the work ethic becomes embedded in the value system of a culture, such contradictions tend to be ignored. Symbolic interaction theory. Symbolic interaction theory brings a different perspective to sociology of a work. Symbolic interaction theorists are interested in the meaning people give to work, as well as the actual interaction that people have in the workplace. Thus, some classical studies have examined how many workers learn their new roles and how a worker's identity is shaped by social interaction in the workplace. Barker et al., 1961. Some studies using this perspective also analyze the creative ways that people deal with routinized jobs. People may create elaborate and exaggerated display of routine tasks to bring some human dimension to otherwise dehumanizing labor. Leitner, 1993. Another way to use the insights of symbolic interaction theory is to think about how work is defined in society. Most people think of work as an activity for which a person gets paid. But does this definition devalue work that people do? Unpaid jobs such as housework, childcare, and volunteer activities make up much of the work done in the world. If you define work as productive human activity that creates something of a value, either goods or services, you see that work takes many forms. It may be paid or unpaid. It may be performed inside or outside the home. It may involve physical or mental labor or both. Another way to think about work is through the concept of emotional labor. Child, 1983. Emotional labor is work that is specifically intended to produce a desired state of mind in a client. Many jobs require some handling of other people's feelings. Emotional labor involves putting a false front before client and is performed in jobs where inducing or suppressing a feeling in the client is a primary work task. Emotional labor, like other work, is done for wages. It is supervised and evaluated. Workers are trained to produce the desired effect among clients. Many jobs require the performance of emotional labor. In other words, producing a particular state of mind in the client is part of the product being sold. In a service-based economy, emotional labor is a growing part of the work that people do, although it is seldom recognized as real work. Emotional labor also makes the production of emotion a commodity, a product created for profit and consumed. This can result in the commercialization of human feeling, meaning that the production and management of emotional states of mind is increasingly seen as a commodity to be bought and sold in the marketplace. Hutcher's Child, 1983. In sum, each theoretical perspective reveals different dimensions of the sociological study of work, either in the organization of work within system stratification, in studying the values and meanings associated with work, and in analyzing the interaction people has with one another at work. Anderson and Taylor, 2004. One can also see that this different theoretical perspective can be combined to explain practical subjects. Study session summary. In this study session, we explained the three main theoretical perspectives on work, such as the conflict theory, the functionalist theory, and the symbolic interaction theory. We explained the characteristics of each of the theories in relation to workers' disposition to work, how work is defined in society, and the concept of emotional labor. All this were discussed to provide different cogent frameworks for understanding the social structural forces that are transforming work within economic systems. End of study session 9. Thanks for listening.